Yes, this is my real hair, by the way. That's all real. And I'll make this confession for those that you don't know. I might be the biggest freak of nature in the world. I was born in 1965. They call that the most pivotal year in rock and roll history. Here's one of the craziest Michael Jackson stories. Well, they're all crazy because it's Michael Jackson, right? So, I was about 15 years old. I grew up in Beverly Hills. I went to Beverly Hills High School with Lenny Kravitz. We're best friends. We met in high school. But shopping with my mother, I walked into this leather shop and there was this red jacket hanging right there, featured like. There's all these other things on racks, but there was this red jacket. And I just gravitated towards this jacket. Almost like I gravitated towards my little dog when I first saw her. Like it was just like, this jacket. So I remember trying it on in the mirror, standing there, and it fit me perfectly. And I said, wow, this is amazing. I've never seen anything like this. And I checked the price, and it said $250. I probably had a quarter in my pocket. I was 15, so I just took it off and put it back. The very next time I saw that jacket, beat it! Beat it! It was the Beat It jacket. I was like, what? He bought that jacket? First time I met Michael Jackson, Lenny Kravitz and I went to see the Jacksons at the Los Angeles Forum in 1981. It was absolutely a transforming experience for both of us. Michael was probably 23 years old. Afterwards, you know, Lenny Kravitz's mother was on the Jeffersons, and Marla Gibbs' son, Dorian, happened to be backstage, and we could see him, and we were like, Dorian, come on, get us in. Back in the day, you could like, somebody could sneak you backstage. Oh, I know him, like bring him in, you know. No credentials necessary, you know, so we did that. So Lenny and I ended up backstage at the Jacksons concert. We were the last ones to leave. The room had cleared out. I was actually talking to Janet all night long. My very first girlfriend in this world, her name was Dana Plato. Look her up, you'll know what I'm talking about. She was on Different Strokes with Gary Coleman. She was the daughter on the show. Janet Jackson was also on Different Strokes, so I knew her. So I went over and I spoke to Janet, and I was talking to her all that. Nobody paid attention to Janet. This was pre-Janet Jackson. So she was just Janet, the sister. It was the brother's night, so she was just in the background. I was talking to her, and then the room cleared, and then I just looked over, and there's Michael just sitting there. And I'm like, all right, well, I better just go and say hi. And I remember going over there and just talking to him, and I mean, I honestly don't remember what we said. I don't remember anything, but it was a good little exchange. He was always sweet. It was a fabulous night. It was an incredible night, and that was my first time meeting Michael Jackson. The second time I met Michael Jackson, I was invited to Neverland. Does everyone know that I sang backing vocals for Alice Cooper on 2 world tours? The person who did the illusions for Alice Cooper's tours also did Michael's tours. So we were invited to his house to do a little show. I'm a dancer. I was dancing in this show, and Michael was sitting in the front row, and afterwards he wanted to meet us, so I waited in his dance room with everyone else. I remember just waiting there, waiting. Then this door opens, here he comes. He's totally by himself. I was like expecting like, you know, security guards and like the police and whatnot. But he was just by himself, and he just beelined straight for me. There's literally 20 people in this room, and he just comes straight to me like this. I'm like, oh my God. That was the only time I think I've ever been nervous, actually, in my entire life. And anyway, so he came to me, and he just stands in front of me. We were exactly the same height, build, and we were like this. He says, are you a singer? And I said, yeah. And he says, you have the aura of a singer. And then he just walked away. There was a spot on the floor, and I walked over to it. I was like, what is that? It was the spot on the floor where he danced and spun so much that it made an indentation in the wood. That's called work ethic. So here's another little Jackson coincidence. He grew up on Havenhurst in the Valley. I grew up on Havenhurst in West Hollywood. It was my first apartment. There's only 2 Havenhursts in all of LA. He grew up on one and I was on the other one. That was my first apartment. It was literally $50 a month. You know that Michael Jackson and the family lived on 2300 Jackson Street, right? Well, I actually also lived on Jackson Street. I lived on Jackson Street in Glendale, California in 2009 when he passed. And they buried him in Glendale, California, 2 miles from my house. Of course, that was a sad day. Here's another crazy story. So, you knew I grew up in Beverly Hills, my early childhood. My high school years were in Beverly Hills. One day, there was a stray cat, like just lost and missing, and the little tag said Tatum O'Neal. Everybody knew Tatum O'Neal. She won an Oscar at 9 years old. She's the youngest person to ever win an Academy Award. She happened to live right around the corner from me, but she was out of town. So I called the number and she, oh, I'm coming back in a couple of days. I ended up becoming friends with Tatum O'Neal. She used to give me rides to school. I didn't know that she was also seeing Michael Jackson at the same time. I just actually found that out recently, so maybe that's why she kind of liked me. You know, she was cool though. Tatum was cool. I want to show you some of my Hollywood Rock Awards. This was for Best Hollywood Rock Band, Tracy, Devai, the Rockies. This was Best Male Front Person, and this was also the Rockies. This was for 2007. I had a solo band in Hollywood, and I won Best Male Front Person. Here's another Hollywood Rock Award, Best Alternative Band. This was 2006. This is Best Modern Rock Band. A couple of the Hollywood Rock Awards. Kind of popular in town. Anyway, just kidding. I want to show you just some of my pictures on the wall, just so you get to know me a little bit. So this is the view from my Parisian apartment. I lived in Paris, France for 2 years, right behind the Moulin Rouge. Moulin Rouge is right there. Pretty crazy, right? This is a shot that I took in Paris. Mr. Bataille, I remember that. It was his name, photographer Bataille. This shot, this is Lenny Kravitz and I at the Chateau Marmont on a balcony a couple years back. This is Trace with Alice Cooper. As you know, I did 2 world tours with Alice Cooper. 2 world tours, singing backing vocals. He used to kill me on stage, and it was a crazy thing. There's another shot around here. Oh, yeah, come here. Look at this. This is Alice killing me on stage. Pretty crazy, right? So let's go up here. This is my mother, back in the 60s, looking all hot. This is me with Slash. Now here's a funny story with Slash. Slash and I went to junior high together. I met Slash in 7th grade, before I met Lenny Kravitz in 9th grade. So Slash is actually, I think, my oldest friend in Los Angeles. Like, yeah, he is. He is. This is another shot of my dad. This is a Michael Jackson show I did. I actually had a Michael Jackson tribute band called King of Pop, the band. That was 15 years ago. We're doing a little different show now, but that was then. Now see my latest project for 2025, Mjroxtar.